On this week's episode of Burst Mode, we're going to be doing a quick roundup of Photokina 2018 and giving you our thoughts on all of the new cameras hitting the market in the very near future. All that and more right here on Burst Mode. All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to Burst Mode Episode 6. My name is Eric Marks, and as always, joined with Mr. Joseph Wood. How you doing this morning, Joseph?
I'm doing good. It's been a little while.
It has. It's been a few weeks. I've been in Disney World, and you've been at a bunch of conferences with your job. But Photokina is over, and so we have a lot to talk about this morning.
You do.
And I think the star of the show, at least in my opinion, is this new Kodak AZ1000.
Oh man, it stole the show.
It really did. So much so that I didn't even know about it until about 5 minutes ago. I mean, it's impressive. It's a good-looking camera. It's got, what was it, 20.68 megapixels and 102x zoom. Wow. That's it's one of the ugliest cameras I've ever seen in my entire life.
It is quite possibly the ugliest camera ever made.
Yeah, it's bad.
Mankind.
Yeah. Okay, so
Dude, imagine shooting at the 102x zoom. That has got to be the shakiest camera in the world.
It's got to be. But
you could feel if a butterfly landed on your lens.
The optical quality is probably pretty excellent, though. I mean, it's Kodak we're talking about. They've proven
their
themselves.
Amazing quality of lenses.
Yeah, I'm waiting for their medium format camera next. That's what I'm waiting for.
It's gonna be
awesome. Right. So without just going over a big, huge list of stuff at first, what so far has gotten you most excited from Photokina? What camera release or lens, or what are you looking most forward to see kind of starting to get into people's hands and get some reviews going on it?
Well, Panasonic obviously is the big announcement with the S1, S1R, basically their A7 III and A7R III, and their Z6, Z7, which I kind of like the whole format of cheaper, more expensive, cheaper, more expensive.
Yes, I like that too.
Because they're essentially the same, just lower megapixel, higher megapixel, and
right.
So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, we were talking. They pretty much did exactly what Nikon did with the Z6 and the Z7, which is not a bad way to go. It's a good offering to offer kind of a middle of the road megapixel for event and wedding and portrait stuff, and then your super high resolution for studio and landscape shooters.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So, but we don't know a whole lot about it yet because it's not going to be officially released until early 2019. So
that's right. I don't even know if I don't know if they released a price. Did we see if an estimated price? Yeah, that's crazy. So
no price.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that's gonna stand up because they're kind of copying Nikon. I wonder if they're gonna try to beat Nikon with the price. If they were smart, they would.
Yeah, because they have their, I guess what will likely be their kit lens is the, what is it, 24-105 or something?
Yeah, it's something like that.
And they don't have the aperture for that yet.
That's right, which is also kind of weird.
Likely going to be an f4, but
yeah, but they do have dual card slots.
Dual card
the
slots.
Panasonic cameras.
Big little FU finger.
I know they did. They just stuck up the middle finger to everybody. I know. And that's been that's continued. It amazes me how that continues to be such a huge debate. I mean, again, I get it. I completely see it, but at the same time, I've never had a card fail on me. Not that I'm not concerned about it ever happening, but man, I mean, these people they'll never look at this camera. They'll never even consider it if it doesn't have that second card slot. So Panasonic, kudos. That was good. It was a good move. Yeah, so I'm with you. I think that I'm the most excited to see how that kind of fares in the market, and once it gets in people's hands and real photographers start using it in real situations, I'm curious to see how the low light performance is going to be. Is it going to stand up to their usual really good video features? It looks like it already does. I think it said 4K 60, which is great.
In-body stabilization.
Exactly. Yeah, in-body image stabilization. So it's got all the great stuff. It has the dual card slot, so it's already seems to be intriguing people. But the big thing here is that it's a new mount, and so it's going to be kind of a long road, as it is with most people just entering the full frame market with this whole new mount and having to build up a big legacy of lenses. So it's going to take them, it's going to take them a while to get that first set of their first wide angle, mid range zoom and telephoto kind of set up and see how actually good it is, because you got to have pretty much your 16 to 35 kind of thing going on, your 24 to 70 and your 70 to 200 in every kind of full frame market. So they got to start making that. And then I'm personally excited about the new Fujifilm stuff, and I'm sure you are too. The GFX 50R. Which is crazy looking. It looks so small for a 50 megapixel medium format.
Yeah, it just looks like they took like the X Pro 2 a little bit and just like
exactly.
like blew it up just a little bit.
Yep. It looks really
awesome.
It does. It looks really nice. And then I'm also excited about the GFX 100 because I'm a landscape shooter.
Yeah,
so
of course.
shooting on 100 megapixels would be
100
insane.
megapixels.
Yeah, I just can't even believe that. And
Goodness.
I think we were talking that the price was somewhere around 9,900, something like that.
I didn't see the price.
I think it was something. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I thought I saw that somewhere, but
Well,
if that's true, that's not that bad for a 100 megapixel medium format camera.
I was gonna say the GFXR is coming in at 4,500.
Yeah,
so that's
that
like
I cannot
nothing.
believe. Yeah. Now that they're two completely different cameras, but that's the same price as the Sony A9, which is a full frame 20 megapixel camera. Now they're very different. Obviously, the Sony's targeted at sports and events and stuff, but that's crazy that they were able to get in that $4,000 price range for a medium format camera. Even though it is like a rangefinder style, it is still interchangeable lens. At least I believe, is it not? Maybe I'm wrong again. I think it is. Yeah. So that's awesome. You can still use the GFX lenses, and they're coming out with more of those, which is really good. So I don't know. The 100 megapixel one is what I'm really interested to see. I'd love to get my hands on that one.
That's gonna be crazy. Did they say when that's gonna be coming out?
No, I didn't see. I know there's been a million articles since we've been gone. I've been out of town, and you've been at conferences, so I've been trying to keep up with all this. There's been just a ton of stuff. Trying to just sift through all the cameras. I don't really care so much about all the little tripods and third-party lenses and stuff. So
no, I don't really care.
Yeah,
so it doesn't look like they say, but I mean,
okay, yeah, and then so Panasonic, I'm really excited about. Fujifilm, I'm always going to be excited about, and then let's talk about the Zeiss, the Zeiss ZX1.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Full frame, mirrorless, compact,
37.4 megapixels. Comes with the Zeiss 35 f2 Distagon lens. Okay, well, it looks like it is a touch screen.
It's running Android.
We are running
and their
Android.
whole catch is that it's gonna have Lightroom on it.
Interesting.
Lightroom CC. I assume it's maybe Lightroom Mobile, which is very close to the full Lightroom.
Well, if it's going to have Lightroom on it, we can be sure that it's going to have awful sharpening and it's going to be very slow.
It's going to be crap.
Yes, it is.
So it's like
man.
Just don't put... people have tried this before. I think there's been a couple cameras where they tried to put like Android with different controls and software on there.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Don't do it. It's
I know.
stupid.
And especially, it's such a beautiful camera, too. It looks like a James Bond-esque camera, and then they're going to go and slap some dumb software inside of it. It does. It's a really just... It looks like something Johnny Ive would be shooting with, or that he would make.
Except for the... Except for
the Android,
have like
exactly.
one button on it. And so, and it's not that Android's bad. The problem is that nobody's going to take photos and then sit there and edit it on their little camera.
That's
you
right.
know?
That's right.
It's so stupid. You'll throw it over to your phone, which will have a larger screen, a 10 times better screen, most likely.
Yes.
It's going to be like almost a 4K HDR screen on your phone instead of this cheap little screen, which probably looks fine, but it's not going to be your phone. And you shouldn't compete with the phone. You shouldn't want to try and be the phone.
Yep,
and
I agree.
That's just so dumb.
I know.
It's so stupid, and it's going to be slow, unresponsive, and nobody's going to sit there and just edit their photos on their camera.
It's just like no camera touchscreen is going to be that good yet, and even then, I would never want to sit there and edit on my camera. That's just that's been tried before. Like you said, there's a, to go off real quick. There's a hard drive that came out recently called I think it's called the NAR box or something like that, and its whole thing is that it has like video editing software on it. And so you can like transfer your video files, hook into the Narbox app, and like edit a video. It's like, no, people are just gonna like the wireless, throwing back and forth to the phone. That's great, but they're gonna end up on Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, and they're gonna edit their video there. They're not gonna sit there and do it, on a little app with 4K video on a phone.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Yeah. No, so it looks like two other things are interesting. The ISO range is 80 to 51,200, so it's a native of 80 is pretty cool, and then it has internal storage of 512 gigs.
Yes, I like that. That's what I like a lot, because Leica even does this with their cameras where they come default with 32 gigs at least.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool, because then if you forget a card, you're like, oh, well, I still have 32 gigs. And so I would love for new cameras to start coming out with tons of internal storage.
Definitely.
Like that. Now this this has no option for an SD card, so you wouldn't want that. But
that's a little weird.
I mean, I don't even have a 512 gig card. I just have a 128 gig card.
Right.
And a couple of 32s. So
that's right. My biggest concern would be what happens if the internal storage ever fails. Then what?
Yes.
It's like what happens?
Dual flash storage.
That's right. They need something.
You're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Because that's a big problem.
That's right. I mean, it will fail at some point, I would assume. And I wonder how they're going to handle that. Take it into a computer store and have them swap out the flash drive.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, but I think the idea is really cool. I think the sticking around like 16 or 32 is really good, and even 64, because I think where it's going to come in handy the most is for people like me who forget their SD cards.
Yeah,
I've done that so many times. So I'll get somewhere and I'll be like, dang it, I forgot the memory card. So yeah, if I had something internal, I could get at least a few shots, and I'd be fine.
But you wouldn't want it to like raise the cost of the camera a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. So
that's
if it was going to make the cost from $14.99 to like $16.99, then it's like, no, just leave out the storage.
That's right. I'd rather just have my cards. Yeah. So So if they stick around 16 to 32, they could probably do that for a very minimal cost. But since flash storage is always just cheap now.
But likely this camera will cost an arm and a leg and will be.
I would think that, yes.
Relegated to camera reviewers.
Yes.
But
never purchased by an actual photographer. Probably.
No, probably not. And not because it won't be a good camera, but because nobody will care about the software.
Yep.
And it's Zeiss's. I mean, have they made cameras before? This has got to be like they're either their first camera in a while or.
Yeah, it's definitely their first full frame, and I think it's their first camera. I don't know, but they've been great at lenses, so I think they're just hoping people are like, hey, you've loved us for so long, so here's our take at a full frame camera. And the design is great, but
it looks awesome.
Yeah, but for the value, whatever I could be completely wrong, but yeah, I also think it's going to cost a lot, and so for the value compared to everything else that was released, I don't think it's going to stand up.
No. And speaking of lens makers making cameras, Sigma has announced another full frame.
Really?
Yeah, because Sigma, Leica, and Panasonic are all doing L mounts now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's going to be so weird.
Yeah, it will be weird.
It's going to be very weird to see.
So I guess Leica uses the L mount now.
Uh-huh.
And so I guess,
Yeah. It's going to
use that on the Panasonic, but
it's going to be weird.
Yeah, but because they're making a full frame Foveon camera, which they already have a couple APS-C, I think, right?
Who the
Foveon cameras? Sigma?
I think so.
And they look weird. Remember, don't they have like the DP Quattro and
yeah, let me look it up.
They've had some.
Oh yeah, looks very weird.
Yeah,
it doesn't look quite as good as the Kodak AZ1000, but
no,
that's the pinnacle of design. But it's interesting. Yeah, that's going to be so weird to see how all this stacks up with the L mount alliance, as they've been calling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So
Sigma, I like their lenses.
Yeah, I like the quality of their art lenses. I've always had a problem with their quality control though. Every time I've bought a Sigma lens, like it will just, the focus motor will always go out. I've had 3 Sigma lenses and it's gone out on all 3 of them. And so I started using Tamron years ago because of that, and I've been happy with some of the Tamron lenses.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, the Sigma Art series, you can't argue with that. The optical quality of their lenses is very good for the Art series.
Yeah, I had a 31.4 for my A6000, and it was the best lens I owned for that camera. Yeah. And I think it was one of the highest rated E-mount lenses that was out there.
Yeah,
and I don't even think it was an Art.
Oh wow,
which was weird.
Well, that's cool.
But yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's a great option for Sony shooters because the Sony glass is so expensive just because it's
really
Sony.
Expensive.
It's really overpriced.
This lens, I think it was like $350 or something.
Oh wow.
And like the 51.8 was I bought like used for like $380.
Yeah.
And the
crazy.
Sigma was way better.
Man.
Way better. The build quality is good, but not great. It was sort of like, it had like a rubbery feel to it, which I thought was kind of cool, but it didn't feel like when you get like a Fuji lens and you're like, oh, this just feels amazing.
Yeah. Even the Fujifilm kit lens, the 18-55 feels really good.
Even that's good.
Yeah. All right. So covered Panasonic and Zeiss. Yeah. The Sigma and the whole L mount thing is going to be interesting.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
So I guess, is Sigma probably going to start making a bunch of L mount lenses?
I would assume so. I
they
would
didn't
assume
announce
there's going to be some
anything.
kind of licensing agreement where they can start producing them. But I don't
Because
know.
that'd be killer if they started throwing out a ton of L mount lenses for their Foveon that no one will buy, and
Yeah.
for the Leicas that no one
Yeah,
will buy.
they pour in a bunch of money for something that's not going to sell. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Who's
Yeah, I mean,
gonna buy a full frame Sigma Foveon?
I don't know, man. I don't
Because their last cameras were weird. Like,
Yeah.
I remember reading reviews when I was looking for cameras. I was like, "Oh, Sigma made a camera, dude. This thing looks awesome." It was really bizarre because it's like, long.
Yes.
It was like, who knows, like a foot long. Not really, but I mean, it was like,
Foot long.
I mean, it was seriously like
Yeah.
super super long.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. And the reviews were like, yeah, it's no good.
Yeah, it looks like one of those. Have you ever seen the panorama film cameras? The ones you
Yes.
actually load. Yeah, it looked like that. It's like that really
Pretty much.
weird. Yeah, it's just like a horizontal
Yeah.
block.
Like let's see if I can get this on the. See how long that is?
Oh yeah, that's so weird. That's so weird.
It's like ridiculous.
Oh my
You
gosh.
certainly wouldn't
Yeah,
have
that
that
is.
problem that you had on your Sony A7R3
Yeah, with the
where
grip.
your hand got too close to the
That's
lens.
right.
You
Yeah.
really wouldn't have that problem.
No, you wouldn't
For
have
people-
a cramped grip at all.
For people listening, it is like, I mean, it's so long. And
looks
you have
like
the lens
6
on one
inches.
side,
Yeah.
and then the grip is on the other side, and
Yeah.
your hands will never get close if you.
Yep.
And you have to hold that with two hands, most likely. I mean,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I
It'd
would
be
think
so
you would hold
weird
it like
to-
this.
yeah, exactly.
The grip here and the lens like way over here.
That's so strange.
Yeah, that is weird. Which, by the way, anyone listening that doesn't know already, we do have a YouTube channel if you guys want to watch the
Yeah.
podcast ever. So if you head over to YouTube and type in Burst Mode Podcast or Burst Mode Photography Podcast, you can find us there. If you do ever want to tune in and see some of the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, so Panasonic, Zeiss, the L mount, all going to be interesting. Then, of course, Canon EOS R, we've been over that. The X-T3,
Yeah.
we've been over that. How are you liking your X-T3? It's been a few weeks now.
Dude, it's awesome. It is. It's so fast. Like the eye detection on the X-T2 was fairly useless.
Yeah.
It would never really work, and I felt like it slowed things down when you would try to use it because
Yeah.
it would never really find the eye, and it just was not good. On here, it's like, I mean, when you turn it on, when heads move around, that little thing is constantly on their eye, always finding it. It's
That's
so
awesome.
ridiculous, and it is just so fast. Everything on it is fast. It boots up in like no time whatsoever, and the video is insane.
That makes me happy.
I've been playing with the F-Log and trying to see how good that can be, and it's crazy. Like, it is just... Did you see the video I posted of Finn?
I did. I think I saw the
Facebook?
one. Yeah. I think I saw that.
With him singing
Yeah. I think Haley showed me a few seconds of it, and then that's funny. Right when I saw it, I looked at it and I was like, "That wasn't filmed with an iPhone." I could tell by the bokeh. I was like, "Oh, I know he's using his
Yep.
Fujifilm."
Yep, that was my Fuji. I
Yeah.
had my 50 f2 lens on there, and I was shooting an F-Log,
That's awesome.
and it looks so good.
Yeah.
And I think the DP review guys, let me read their little summary of it because it makes a lot of sense. I completely agree with it. It's let me find it here. X-T3.
Yeah, it's about time that someone gave Sony a run for their money with the eye detection autofocus. It's
Yeah.
a shame that Canon and Nikon didn't come out with something that was at least going to try to do something with the eye tracking.
Yeah.
But of course, leave it to the $14.99 camera to come in and just take over everybody.
And they say that the eye detection is still not quite as good as Sony, which makes sense because Sony's been doing it for forever.
Right, they've been tweaking it for a while.
And like 1,000 different cameras that they release because they release a new, body every 4.5 minutes. So.
Yeah. Actually, there was one just released. Hold on.
Oh yeah, I think they just did another one. I actually have to talk about that because they didn't do anything.
I know.
Photokina,
It's weird.
And people were expecting. So they say conclusion: X-T3 has significant upgrades. Autofocus is really that much better. Better EVF, can handle any kind of photography. Fantastic APS-C. Strongest video mirrorless out there.
Wow.
For APS-C, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
One of the strongest video mirrorless out there. Only negative is lack of in-body image stabilization. So I agree with that completely.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too.
So I wish it did, but it probably wouldn't have been as small and as cheap as they did.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised they said
is-
that about Fuji. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, and their JPEGs are just so good.
Yeah, that's what everyone loves about the Fujifilm.
I shoot in raw JPEG all the time, and I just play around with their film settings some more. And then you have a new option called Color Chrome for their JPEGs, where Color Chrome, I guess they had an XH, or not the XH1, the GFX I think had it. And essentially you can it makes the colors a little bit deeper, and it just looks really cool. I like it a lot. I'm a big fan. So X-T3 is incredible. It's definitely better than the X-T2 by a long shot.
Okay, cool. And for the price, it's just insane. I mean, if you're I'll just go ahead and stop and say this: if you don't have a Fujifilm camera right now and you're wanting to get one, like you can save a couple bucks on the X-T2. But if you're wondering if you should just get the X-T3, I would say absolutely. I mean, it's that much better for not that much more money. And even if you're in the X-T2 wondering if you should upgrade, I mean, the X-T2 is plenty fine, but X-T3 is, I mean, for the price, there's a lot of new welcome features. It's not just a little incremental upgrade. It's got some really nice stuff.
I mean, I am missing my depth of field.
Yeah, going from full frame, your Nikon to the Fuji.
I just don't think it just can't replace that, because I love the lenses. I love the 50 f2 I got for them. You know, it's silver and it matches the silver body of my X-T3 and it just looks awesome. But I mean, I just remember shooting with my 50 f1.8, which is like a cheapo depot lens on Nikon, and even that had awesome depth of field. Yep. And you just can't match that. Not that you always need significant background blur all the time. Right. But I mean, it's pretty noticeable when you're shooting with an f2 on a crop sensor.
Right. It's definitely nice to have. It was like that photo that I sent you of Scarlett, where you said, "Man, look at the depth of field." That was just at 2.8 on a full frame. That was like, it was only 24 to 70 2.8. It was like at 60 millimeters.
So that would be on a crop sensor.
That would need to be like a
1.4,
something like that. Yeah. So you would need pretty much all 1.4 lenses to compete with that.
It's insane. It's not even. Yeah. So that's where it's like, I love my Fuji. It's beautiful, but I still think in the near future, next couple of years, I'm probably going to also get, depending on how much photography I end up doing, or replace with a full frame camera. Yeah. I mean, it's just, now that everyone's doing full frame mirrorless and they're becoming so cheap, that depth of field in low light, I mean, and the Fuji is as good as you can get in low light APS-C.
It is, for sure.
But
no matter what, you can't change the size of the sensor.
You just can't change that. And it's because, like, I really wanted their 16 to 55 2.8 lens. Yeah. Because it would cover all my ranges that I really want for family photography and to be easy for not having to switch lenses. Yeah. But 2.8 is like, it's like no background blur. Unless I'm shooting at like 55 2.8. Right. Then I can get some background blur.
But like on the 50 f2 is probably much better because it's all like semi-telephoto. 50 f2 is
good, yeah. And their bokeh is really good. And there are some manual focus, like 50 f1 lenses you can get. There's actually a 0.95 lens you can get.
Yeah, I've seen.
And the optical quality is good enough. You know, it's not amazing because it's more like a novelty lens, but I mean, you just can't beat that.
At f0.95, you'd have like an eyelash in focus.
Yeah. And then I've seen reviews and people are like, you have to shoot this lens at 0.95 because that's why you get this lens. I mean, you know. So, but they've done some shots and they look pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, now that the Z7 reviews have come out, they say it's really awesome, and they're like, it's a significantly good first mirrorless camera for Nikon. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I shed a single tear when you sold your Nikon D800. I was just like, you know, he's gonna love the Fujifilm, but a single tear.
Yeah, because I can get way more pictures with my Fuji. I mean, I can fire off shots like it was nothing.
Exactly, it's way faster.
So I can get better shots in that. I wouldn't be able to get these shots that I would get for my D800 because it was just so slow, and it just took so long for me to meter properly because you had to take a picture, look at it, you know, because you couldn't really trust the exposure meter because it was never proper, right? And it was always either under or over, and so
I know. Nikon's always
EVF.
had. Nikon's metering system is always, it's been the same for so many years. I always have it. I just always permanently have my exposure compensation on negative 2/3 of a stop.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Okay.
I just keep it on that.
Yeah.
Because it always blows out the highlights just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny speaking of depth of field, because I'm shooting, I found out last night, I'm shooting a wedding this Saturday.
Oh, wow.
The second shooting. So one of my friends that I shot weddings with all of 2014 when we pretty much did a business together. He said his second shooter, he's got a wedding this Saturday, which is in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
His second shooter just bailed on him. He just told him he can't show up now. And this is a wedding. Apparently his wedding package, the bride paid for the 2 photographers full day coverage package. So he has to bring another person. It's not so he called me last night. He was like, "Is there any way you can show up and do the wedding?" He was like, "I will triple the rate." And I was like, "Well, all right." And he said, and it's funny because he said, "Do you still have a full frame?" He wanted to make sure I was full frame camera, and I was like, "Yeah, no, I full frame Nikon D850." He was like, "All right, cool." Because he knows he does this for a living. He knows full frame. He wants the depth of field. He wants to be able to deliver the bride those creamy backgrounds. Not that the Fujifilm X-T3. I mean, if I had the X-T3, I would still show up and do the wedding, and I'd be perfectly fine. But it's just funny how that's still the standard with weddings and that kind of stuff.
I mean, it's not that that's what makes a good photo.
Yeah.
Because a good photo is good light, good composition, and a good moment. None of that really is depth of field. But I take a lot of photos of people, and so for me, I like to have that separation of foreground and background. And
that's right.
You can do that, and my photos of Finn still look awesome, and all the Fuji photographers I follow still take amazing photos.
Definitely.
It's just deep down in my heart. After having had a full frame with just a dinky little 51.8,
yep.
Even just that is beautiful.
It is.
And so Fuji is coming out with a 33 f1.
Oh, there you go.
They showed off at Photokina.
That's right.
So that'll be around 2020 when that comes out.
Okay.
So
only a couple of years.
I'll get that with my X-T4.
Yep. That'll be nice.
So it's okay, well, if I want depth of field, I need either the 56 1.2.
Yep.
Which isn't a bad price. It's $1,000. It's not bad for it being the top range of their.
The 90 f2 is killer.
90 f2, a lot of people like.
Yep.
And but if I want something where I'm going to get more people into it, then it's 35 1.4, 23 1.4.
Yep. 16 1.4. 16
1.4. So.
Yep.
Which are good, and they all have good depth of field too. So
they do. Yeah, the 16 is weird. It's like a wide angle macro lens that still has really good bokeh. It's really weird for a wide angle lens.
Yeah, it's one of the highest rated lenses too.
Yeah, it's probably. I mean, I would say that it's Fujifilm's best lens. Not that it's their best zoom range or whatever, because it's just a 16 prime. But I think it's optically their best lens.
Yeah, because then you've got their 23-35 1.4s, but a lot of people prefer the f2s because the f2s are weather resistant and they have stabilization, which I don't think the 1.4s have.
Yeah, and at least from what I saw, because when I was trying to decide, I rented the 23 1.4, and then I just ended up buying the 23 f2 because I thought I was going to go with that, and so I had them both in. This was Christmas of 2016, I think, around that time, and I noticed that the 23 f2s, both of the f2s, were just way sharper, especially in the corners throughout, than the 23 1.4s. 23 1.4, the 1.4s have their own look. They almost have a little bit of it. It looks like there's some kind of noise. It's weird.
Yeah, because some people live and die by those 1.4s.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has their own look, which I get. It's cool. But yeah, I like the weather resistance of the f2s, and I like that they're so tiny. I love that they're literally you can just throw it in your shirt pocket.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they're very, very sharp. So. But it would have been cool if they were 1.4 still. I don't like that they went from 1.4 to 2, especially if you're shooting people.
Yeah.
Losing any bit of depth of field on a crop sensor is not ideal.
Yeah, because yesterday I was reading the reviews for the Z7, and I was just thinking of those lenses, what's their new mount? Z mount?
Yeah.
I was like, man, those have just got to be awesome.
Yeah. I think the Z6 is probably the way most people are going to go, because the Z7 I think is still a little bit overpriced.
Yeah.
And the Z6 is probably the way to go if you're wanting to jump into the Z system and start experimenting with that. It sure kicks the crap out of the Canon EOS R system. It didn't do anything special.
No, I mean, I like Canon because they have really good glass.
Yeah,
Like really, really good lenses.
they do.
And the EOS R it's weird because do you know Peter McKinnon on YouTube?
Yes, I do.
I really like him because he's always really happy and upbeat.
Yeah.
He made a video talking about why he might switch to the EOS R.
I saw
for
that.
all of his videos.
Very controversial.
I was like, how much did Canon pay him? Because he was
Exactly.
like, it doesn't have a lot of the things that I kind of like, 4K 60, 1080, 120, you know, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's
like
this huge
everything you
list.
use,
I know.
like, I mean,
And then he
it's
was
probably,
like, but I think it's a really good
But-
option. Wait, what?
It is. It looks, I mean, he's a good guy where he can throw any camera and really get awesome video out of it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, it's probably going to be a killer portrait lens though, or portrait camera.
Yeah,
their
he's
color
got
sense is good.
a public, well-known good relationship with Canon. So
Which is
obviously
totally
there is.
fine.
I mean,
like if you're, you know, like Gary Fong is into Sony.
yeah,
Some people are into Fuji. You know, Kevin Mullins is into Fuji, and so
right.
if you're into one, you know, system and that's your system, then I don't care if you know, say you're going to have one of their cameras because you like it better, but you know,
Yeah.
at least be objective about the facts. And that is that he does video, and
Exactly. Don't try to push people
not
into it.
the best for video.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know. At the end of the day, with all of these, I try to like step back and think, what do these like camera companies? What are they trying to accomplish? Like, are they? It makes you wonder if all, like, in my opinion at least, it looks like half of them have just given up. Like they're just still just kind of pushing out cameras just because people are asking for stuff. But it's like I want the next round of cameras that comes out. Like Panasonic is getting cooler, but I don't know. I want it there to be more innovation. I want it to be more fun. Like I want to see that the camera companies are having fun. Like even when I watch some of the presentations of these camera company CEOs, Canon and Nikon or whatever, and their marketing departments releasing the camera, they look like they're miserable to be up there talking about the stuff. You know, like I want it. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird, weird
I'm
angle to this
excited about
conversation,
the
but
Z mount. I really want to see how that goes.
yeah.
And gosh, man, that Canon 24-70 f2.
Yeah,
That's
I know that's killer.
insane. That's
And it's
but I mean,
it's pricey, but it's worth the money.
Yeah,
That's going to
it's
be a
so
wedding
pricey.
photographer's dream. I mean, no
Yeah,
doubt.
it
Especially-
will,
and it's
so.
F2 on a full frame. I mean, that that's going to be
ridiculous.
killer. Yeah.
yeah, that's like,
So-
oh man, if Fuji came out with a 16-55 1.8,
Yeah.
that'd be a killer,
that would be killer.
lens.
That would be absolutely.
But they
So Sony, to finish wrapping up some of the Photokina stuff, only a couple things left for cameras. Sony didn't do their APS-C release that we thought they might do.
Yeah, they really could have come out.
It's
I
interesting.
mean, I guess there wasn't a lot at the show.
Yeah.
You know, Panasonic sort of stole the show with their S1, S1R, and Fuji with their GFXR
Mm-hmm.
and their 100 megapixel. But that's about it. I mean, Sony could have come out with anything and they would have probably
Yeah.
stolen the show. But
Yeah.
so I guess they want to. I guess they're sort of like Apple when Apple stopped doing keynotes at Macworld. They're like, yeah, we want our own keynote.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
what I'm thinking.
I think Sony's going to do their own thing. Because the rumors I've read is that it's going to now look almost exactly like an A7 or A9,
Oh,
but
wow.
just smaller. So I've read that
Okay.
the viewfinder is going to be in the middle instead of being
Interesting.
over on the tiny little side.
Okay.
And so they said it's going to look like a little A9,
Okay.
which will be interesting because it'll look like
That will be
more of a
interesting.
professional camera,
Yeah.
but it'll just be smaller.
Yeah.
Which I think will be kind of cool if they do that.
No, yeah, I do too. As long as they don't keep smushing the grip in to the lens, because that's
You
something
know
I'm
they
already.
will.
Yeah.
You know they will.
That's something I'm already hating about the A7R3. Like I love the image quality, but man, that using it, like I literally have gotten a blister on my middle finger, like right at the knuckle. It's,
Oh, yeah.
it's bad. Yeah,
so
so
weird.
hopefully they figure out a way to do that for people.
But I mean, even that's becoming a more interesting system because they're starting to get tons of lenses now. Like
Yeah,
Sigma
it's
announced a
about time.
ton of E-mount lenses for them, and
Yep.
so I mean that's starting to become a mature system and developing, but
Yep.
it's still not as good as Fuji. I don't think.
I agree. Yeah, it's because at Photokina it says Sony. I'm looking at two little line items here. Sony says Sony will announce animal eye AF mode.
Yeah,
whatever
I saw that.
is.
I
don't know. And then 12 future E-mount lenses. So yes, it's good. They're adding more lenses. And then they did a kind of a quiet release for the full frame 400 millimeter 2.8. The Terminator Edition. That's what it's called.
insane. Is it really?
So, yeah, that's what it says. So they actually
Terminator Edition?
Yeah, Terminator Edition. I don't know what that means, but
That's
don't
weird.
know. So I guess
400 2.8.
Yeah, so they're finally starting to do that so they can please some
Gosh,
people that are wanting
there's
to
your
use.
depth of field, man.
Yeah, exactly. They're wanting to use the A9 for sports. There you go. Sports shooters have a huge prime now. It's a 2.8. I just don't know why they call it the Terminator edition.
I don't know.
No, I guess because it'll be back in 6 months with version 2.
Oh gosh. Of course they will.
Yeah.
Gosh, man, you know what I've been thinking? Gosh, the last few days I've literally been thinking about full frame cameras. I can't stop thinking about them.
Uh-oh. I know what's going to happen when that... You're going to text me in like 15 minutes and be like, I just sold my X-T3 on Craigslist.
Just sold my... Because I'm thinking, gosh, my X-T3 with a lens, that's almost $2,000.
I know where this road ends, Joseph.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it. No, I love my Fuji. I do love picking it up. I love carrying it around just to have it because it just feels so awesome. So I will keep it around for a little while. And I do want to get that killer portrait lens, though, or something. I think I need the 56
You're
1.2.
gonna text me and be like, "Hey, I just wanted to get just touch base with you. This is the last you're gonna hear from me for a while because I'm selling my phone and my X-T3 to the same guy so I can go get a Nikon Z6. So I'm not gonna have a phone for a couple months. It was nice talking to you, buddy.
Because I got a couple of shoots coming up. So I've got a family shoot next weekend. I've got one the weekend after that.
Oh, nice.
So I mean, they're not like family shoots aren't a lot of money. So, but they're it's a couple $100. So
yeah.
Oh man.
Well,
we'll see. The Z6 comes out in November, and they said it's going to be a low light monster. So I want to see that, and I want to start seeing reviews of that 50 millimeter that they have.
Definitely. Yep. And the good thing too about like family shoots that are, parents and a few kids is that you don't have to have. I mean, the depth of field isn't as important with a big family as it is if you're just in a couple or a single person or something. So you can get away with shooting at f2, f4.5.
And really, that's more or less me just telling myself that's important when really all that matters is if you capture the moment.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the thing that Kevin Mullins always says. He's one of my favorites lately. Is it's a good light, good composition, and a good moment. And so if you look at all of his photos, they're all incredible because he just captures that moment perfectly. He always makes sure he has good light, and he always makes sure he composes it well. Yeah. And so it's like when you look at people that take amazing iPhone photos because all you need is good composition, good light, and a good moment. And you can do that with an iPhone.
That's right. And that's what I wish people would think about more because it's funny how the second that like people that aren't photographers and a lot of people that are, the second they see a photo, the first thing that comes to their mind is, man, what camera was that taken with? They just want to know what camera, what lens, so they can go get it and replicate the photo. But it's not about that. No, it doesn't really matter.
I mean, if you look at Erin Brooks, I follow her on Instagram. She's Tim Cook recently retweeted one of her photos she did when the 10S came out, and she just took some photos with it. And I mean, you go through her Instagram profile, and you don't know which ones are from her full frame and which ones are from her iPhone. Like you just can't tell just initially looking at them. She has an X-T1 that she loves, her Fuji X-T1, and I think she has like a 5D Mark II. So she has old cameras, and I think it was like her grandfather's camera. And so she doesn't have any new fancy cameras, but yet all of her photos are just awesome because she captures the moments perfectly, and she has almost no depth of field in her background blur. It's just
that's what I like to see because I'm actually I'm working on a video on my YouTube channel that's going to be, I'm just going to call it like everything wrong with photography. It's because I went back and I looked at like my last 10 videos and I was wondering how my Google AdSense account was doing pretty well lately, and I was like, what happened? And so I go back and look at like my X-T3 video that I made. Yeah, like 30,000 views. I look at my Sony A7 something video, 30,000 views, 15,000. Then I made one video in there that was called like how to get better composition, and it's like 400 views. I'm like, why? So when I talk about like how to get better at photography, nobody watches it. But if I just like show a camera and a thumbnail with a cool face and like an emoji, it's gonna get 30,000 views. What?
Yeah,
that stuff ticks me off.
We definitely do that. I mean, I do it. We all do it.
Yeah,
we just
absolutely
get too into the gear and too into that, and we keep forgetting. I should probably take the money that I was dreaming about for my full frame and put it towards courses, and like just
well, Joseph,
learn how
if you
to
go
get
to this website, findingmiddleearth.com/store, there's some.
Oh man, I heard that's
there's
a nice
some courses.
Amateur photography website.
No, it is. The guy sucks. He uses a Kodak AZ1000.
It's crazy. I actually bought a little photography course that Erin Brooks. So there's a website called The Sweet Setup, and it's all like about iPhone apps and things like that. But it's the guy who runs it is a guy I follow a lot, and I have a couple of his courses on productivity and stuff, and they're really good. And he did a course on mobile photography, and he had Austin Mann, who is a professional photographer who Apple started their shot on iPhone campaign around him. Because he had this shot in Iceland that he got with his iPhone that Apple saw and was like, holy crap. And they decided to do the whole shot on iPhone campaign around that photo.
Man, that's awesome.
And then they got Erin Brooks, and they got 5 of her photos that they blew up on billboards and things like that. And so both of them did these courses. And then you see like everything she does that goes into her photos. And you're like, man, she thinks about that way more than I do.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not thinking, when I go to take photos of Finn, like when we go outside and run around, and I always bring my camera with me, I don't think I think about composition as much as I should. You know, I'm more or less just focusing, trying to get him in the frame, because as a 2-year-old, they barely sit still for like 4 seconds. You know,
yes, that's right.
So that's
Which, by the way, I
handy.
have reached the promised land. Scarlett
Really?
somehow is loves saying cheese. So we can get her.
Yeah.
She will stop for like 5, 6, 7 seconds around there, and she'll stop and say cheese. She will pose and say cheese now. Photographer's promised land.
Yeah,
Finally. I don't know why she likes saying the word cheese,
we're working
but she
on
just
that.
likes saying the word cheese. Yeah. So
kids,
don't know
they
why.
latch
Like
on to
if I
stuff
told her
like
to
that.
say anything else, she wouldn't say it. She would be running around. But if I just said Scarlett, say cheese, she like thinks it's hilarious to just stop and say cheese. So she finally will pose for a camera.
See,
it's about time.
And that's another thing. Erin, she takes a lot of photos of her kids. They're older.
Yeah.
So, and they're 2 girls that you can tell them what to do. And,
That's right.
you know, Finn, he's not going to do anything. I can turn on one of his favorite movies in the living room and he'll sit still. But again, that's the living room, and there's no, you know, the backgrounds are so busy, and it's like,
right.
you know, stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, I definitely need to focus on composition more rather than I need this lens, I need this lens, I need this camera. So we all do it.
I mean, it gets all of us. The gear will consume all of us every once in a while. But yeah, every time I like start feeling burnout, it's always because I've focused so much on gear. I need to just get back to like looking at other photographers that inspire me and that I admire, and that always just kind of lights a fire into my butt again, because I like looking at other people's work that I love, like the kind of work that I like other landscape photographers. And yeah, it makes me realize sometimes how much my portfolio just sucks. Like once a month I'll have this whole like come to Jesus talk with myself, where I'm like, okay, you're not a very good photographer. You need to get better there, Eric. You suck. And I'll just hack all of my portfolio images, and I'll just reprocess them or go out and take more photos. Yeah, it's weird how that all works.
Oh yeah, I do that. I went through my Instagram profile recently, and I was like, I don't like that photo. Delete. I don't like that photo.
Yeah,
delete.
I do that all the time.
Why did I post that photo? That's so stupid. Delete. You know. But yeah, and it's also tricky because a lot of these people I follow, they live in beautiful settings. You know, like Erin lives in the Pacific Northwest, and so she'll go out to the beach where, you know, it looks like scene from the Goonies, and
I know.
You know, those wild horses running on the beach. You know,
I know.
And I go outside and
me.
it's like Chick-fil-A is down the street, you know, there's Chipotle, you know, I'm like, okay. And we have beautiful places, but we have to drive. Like you and I, when we go find places to take photos, we have to drive to find these places.
Yes.
And it takes a while, and we don't have time. When I have a 9 to 5, you know, and Finn has his early morning treatments and evening treatments that we have to work around, and so it's like we basically just run outside, and
I know
there's only so many photos you can take in the exact same place.
Yeah,
you know,
that's one thing that I've always wanted to talk about that, but I feel like I would step on too many people's toes doing that. But it's like there's people that, like, if you live in the Pacific Northwest or you live in Arizona by the Grand Canyon or something with just constant, or New Zealand with constant beautiful settings, you can pretty much go out at any time of day or sunset or sunrise or whatever, put your iPhone up, point it in pretty much any direction, and take a really good photo. It might not be amazing composition, it might not be amazing processing, but you will probably get an instant following on Instagram or social media because you are in these exotic, amazing places. I don't know how to say that in a good way, but it's like these people can literally, like you said, just walk out their door and be at an amazing location, and pretty much with any camera, you can take an amazing photo. And
and
it sucks.
I know
you
that
have to kind
like
of work for it a little more.
A good photographer like Erin would probably be able to take good photos where I live, but not as many.
That's right.
It would run out very quickly.
Yes, you would.
You know, so anytime we go to a cool place, I can get, because like I went downtown for this conference. I was in Buckhead for a couple days, and just walking from the conference to like Chick-fil-A, I mean, I got amazing photos because I was downtown and there are these beautiful buildings, and I posted like one photo on Instagram, and it like, I normally get like, let's say 40 likes, and it got like 60 or 70 or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like, because it was this beautiful architecture, and
Exactly.
you don't have that when you're live in the suburbs outside of Atlanta. So it's
right.
like, we have to really, really drive to get some good photos, and we don't have the time to always do that. So that's why I'm like, I struggle with my Instagram, because I'm like, I don't really care about a following, but deep down you kind of do.
Yeah.
But you're like, I can't, I'm running out of photos to post,
Yeah.
It's like,
I know.
I mean, it's just more photos of Finn every single day. And so
Yep.
in some sense, that also makes me feel like, gosh, if I can learn how to take amazing photos in this boring little place here,
Yeah.
then that's going to make me much better when I actually get to a place like,
That's right.
Pacific Northwest or Iceland or some beautiful place like that. So
That's right.
in some sense it's good, in some sense it's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I want to start my goal for immediately and for next year is just to start traveling more.
Yeah.
Because I just want to get to more places. I'm in the next couple before Christmas. I'm going to Antelope Canyon in Arizona. The place with the light pockets always streaming in with those crazy lines and patterns and the caverns. So I want to go there, and it's just, you just got to get out and practice more. But the funny thing about running a photography business when it becomes a business is that it pretty much turns into 10% photography and 90% running the business. And that's the reality of it, is that you don't really get out as much when you try to make your hobby into a business. You don't get to do what you love as much. A lot of people go, oh man, I love this hobby, I'm going to make it a business. But the second you do that, your sole priority becomes to how are you going to keep your head above water and pay the bills, and not how many good photos am I going to take today. It's definitely there's some reality there to it. So I know we all need to just get out. Everyone needs to get out to shoot more and just keep practicing. I mean, whether you've been shooting for 10 years or 20 years, practicing is always just going to be great. Just get out and shoot as much as you can.
Yeah. Look at your photos, evaluate them, be brutal on yourself, and get other people to look at them and be brutal on them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I reevaluate my own portfolio easily once a month, and I'll look at something and be like, what was I thinking? That photo was processed terribly. So I'll go and reprocess it, or I'll delete it, or I'll add another photo. I never stop kind of refining my portfolio, which is it's good. You got to keep everything kind of modern and up to date.
You get better. Well, and even that photo you sent me last night, I was like, dude, he's getting so good. Like, that photo was awesome.
Thank you.
Like, it was like, because it had more darkness than a lot of your other photos.
Yeah,
I've
been liking that lately. The whole moody.
It's so cool because it looks very natural.
Yeah,
but it's awesome.
Yeah, that was from the front of a fishing boat. It was really cool guy. I went fishing with my dad. It's this private guide that my dad knows that he's friends with, and this guy, we were at this lake called Carter's Lake at like 4 a.m. And this guy was like, hey, if you guys don't mind, because I know you're a photographer, Eric, your dad told me, he's like, I'm going to take you, before we go fishing, I'm going to take you down this little riverbank where it gets to like 12 inches of water. He's like, this is like an $80,000 boat, so I could very well break my boat, but there's this amazing little thing where the sun beams through with the fog, and I'm like, yeah, man, take me there. And that was that photo. It's like, dude,
that wasn't a bracket, was it?
No, that was one single raw file.
Are you doing more singles now?
Yeah, I've been doing that a lot more lately because it's like you said that I'm liking the super contrasty, darker shadows, like the whole HDR thing where you just pump the shadows and kill the highlights. Like there's not a lot of good mood in those kind of photos. So lately I've been liking a lot more contrasty shadows because even though I've shot HDR, I've always been of the belief, even subconsciously, that if you don't if everything in the photo isn't awesome, then why show everything in the photo? Why pump the shadows in every single bit of the photo? Like no one cares what's in between the tree branches. Like make it fall into contrast and mood. And it was I like that photo. So I took like 200 photos from that boat. Because the sun, we kept going around all these little bends in the river, and the sun would just stream these light pockets through the fog, like right on the tops of the trees. It was really nice.
Yeah, I've been doing that too. I watched a couple of videos on YouTube of people exposing more for the highlights. And when the shadows fall into darkness, just let them be. Let them stay there. And I've been doing that with Finn a lot more when we're outside in the sun setting, and I expose for that beautiful sunset, and he's like almost pitch black. It still looks really cool.
Yeah, it's super moody.
And you can maybe bring up the shadows just a little bit, but you don't want to do it too much because then it just looks unnatural. And
And that's another thing is, aside from just taking the photos, I feel like I always try to keep maturing with my processing. Like over the past like 5 years, my processing, like 5 years ago, was like super Trey Radcliffe HDRE, very, very colorful and punchy all the time. And like I liked that, and that's fine. Like I don't regret that because I liked that. I'm into that. But like over the years, I've become more like I like subtle colors. I like more subtle processing. I don't do it as much. Like even a year ago when I released my landscape photography blending course, I don't even process as much as I did then. Like I always just kind of keep just slowly refining and changing things. So
you used to throw it into Photoshop and
I would do
a lot.
Do a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I would just basically the plugins would kill me. I would play around with a bunch of plugins and presets, and I just kept trying to stack layers and make everything a little bit better. But yeah, I like to over about the past, I don't know, maybe year or two, I've held back a little bit more, and so I like to keep things a little bit more natural looking. But at the same time, I think you have to kind of do what the scene needs. Like if I'm somewhere where I'm like we've been a couple places where we literally felt like we stepped out of reality and walked into like Middle Earth, like and on those places, I'm like, okay, I need to give it this kind of magical feel. Like I'll add a little bit more of a processing ambiance, if you will, a little bit of some blur and some Orton effect and some glow and some stuff, but it all just kind of depends on the scene. But I like keeping things natural for the most part now, and adding some good mood to it is nice. So all right. So the last thing here at Photokina, and man, we go off topic all the time, and I love it. I
like it.
Yeah, it's not robotic at all the way we do things. So the very last thing I think for the cameras is the Ricoh GR3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never used one of the Ricos. I've never really been too interested in them. I know you have before. You've been pretty interested in what they've been doing. What do you think about it?
Well, I've at one point was thinking when I was like, I think photography is going to be more of a hobby. I don't think I'm going to do paid shoots. This was a couple years ago, I think. I was like, why don't I just get like a really good, like fixed lens camera? I was looking at the Fuji X100s, and I was also looking at the Ricos, and the people that shoot with Ricoh are like obsessed with them. Like they say that little lens, what is it, 23 millimeter or 28, something like that, is like, they said it's like the sharpest lens they've ever used. They probably haven't used any other lenses though, but because they seem to really only shoot with just the Ricos. But apparently it's like really, really, really good. I mean, it's basically just for shooting. I mean, they have video options, but nobody actually expects you to use them. Yeah. I mean, your phone can take better video than those things can. So, but it looks pretty cool. I mean, they kept like pretty much the exact same design.
That's what I noticed. Yeah, they haven't really changed any design.
They haven't changed any of it. It doesn't look. It kind of looks a little ugly and nondescript, but people say they love it.
Yeah, it kind of looks like all of the Canon point and shoots. Yeah, to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I
mean, it'd be interesting, again, just because I like photography in general and trying out new cameras. I'd like to try it. I mean, why not? I like to try it out and see what it can do. But yeah, it's definitely not something that was the most interesting to me at Photokina. I'm actually kind of surprised they dropped it at Photokina because it probably got overshadowed by everything else.
Yeah, pretty much everything in the world. Yeah. It's sort of like, trying to think of like something that has, I don't know, it's got a small following, but it's extremely dedicated.
Yeah. That's not bad. I mean, that's okay.
People that like a band that nobody else really likes, or they announce a tour, they're the only ones that are really excited. Yeah. And so it's the people that shoot with Ricoh are probably going to be ecstatic about it. Like I remember they're pretty much all street photographers. Yeah. Because I started to follow bunch of street photographers, and they almost all shot with Ricohs. That's crazy. And it was all the GR2s. Yeah. And and their photos were great. So.
Yeah. So between a Ricoh GR and a Fuji X100T, what way would you go?
Oh, I would probably go Fuji.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it just looks. I've never shot with a Ricoh, so I'd have to shoot with it really to be super objective. But I mean, the Fuji just looks awesome, and it feels awesome. I agree.
Yeah, I had the original X100 before I ever actually went Fuji. I had an X100, just the original one, and I liked it a lot. It was really cool. I love the super vintage look. I haven't had any of the other ones, the X100S, X100T, or whatever. But it was good. I liked it. So yeah, there you go. There's the roundup, folks, of the Photokina. Looks interesting. Few cameras released there. The thing I'm most excited about is if I can somehow get my hands on one of the Fujis, GFXR, the GFX 100.
Oh man, that GFXR looks. Kevin Mullins has had it for, I think he said, for like a month or two or something.
Oh man,
because he's a Fuji X photographer, and so they sent it to him, and his favorite camera is the X Pro 2.
Okay,
and he says he's going to start shooting the X-T3 just purely because it's that much better.
Yeah.
Even though he prefers the X Pro body style, he's like, the X-T3 was just so good. And now the GFXR, he says he's already sold a couple of cameras that he's going to use the money towards the GFXR when it comes out.
Yeah, because that's basically an X Pro 2 with a medium format sensor.
Yeah. It's incredible. So, yeah, he says it's amazing. And
yeah, very cool. Yeah, so that would be the thing I'm most excited to get in my hands. The camera I'm most excited about to see in other people's hands are the Panasonic. I just want to see how they do.
That won't be till next year either.
I know, it's crazy.
If they were to come out and say like November 30th, when the Z6 is announced, and I mean, gosh, I expect the price will be probably the same as. 2,000, 3,000, whatever, 2,000, 3,500, who knows? So it'll be the same.
But if they came out and said $1,699, you would sell everything and get it.
That would be insane. Because their video is amazing. Because one of the reasons why I'm sticking with my Fuji for a while is because the video is so awesome.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to play around with video more.
Right.
And their video would just be insane. Because everyone knows. I mean, if you're going to shoot video, you have the GH5, like that's just
that's right.
Have. GH4, GH5. So that would just be killer.
That's the standard.
And the lenses they announced they don't have a good prime yet though. It looks like they have what was it? They have 70 to 200.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about the Panasonic.
I think they said it was like 70 to 200, 24 to 105, and I think maybe 24 to 70.
Yeah, and then there's a 10 to 25 f1.7.
Now, is that for their Micro Four Thirds system?
I don't know. That's a good question. It's listed right here under their S1 and S1R, but I don't know. Let me see. It's the new Panasonic Leica DG Vario Sumalux 10 to 25 1.6. Yeah, Micro Four Thirds. Yep. All right, I was about to say.
So that means it's like an F,
11. 4. Yeah, F11. Yeah. It's like an F16 equivalent. Micro Four Thirds,
That's one reason why I never really was super interested in Micro Four Thirds was because it's like, you want background blur? Do not go Micro Four Thirds.
That's right.
They're great cameras, but just
depth of field is not on their side.
Forget about your depth of field.
Yep. All right. Well, cool. Well, you have any other last minute stuff you want to cover?
No,
we covered all of Photokina. Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, then thank you, everyone, for listening and watching, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Take care.